in some manner.
It's an easy thing if we decide and the Board of Commissioners approves it to allow this. A couple of sentences is it in the regulation to allow it. So it isn't a real, it's a decision that has to be made, and once a decision is made as to which way to go, it's an easy solution. I just keep coming back. Every time I go through Cheboygan, there's a different set of vacant buildings. I mean, when I bought my business here 30, 40 years ago, the town was pretty well filled up. And it's been going downhill ever since. I mean, even the things like bars, we've got half as many bars as we had. Automobile parts stores. We had 4, we got 2 now. Restaurants. Everything else, clothing stores. It's just, if we can't get people in here to spend money, the businesses aren't gonna make it. How many businesses have we reviewed for special use permits in the last couple of years here that went in? I can, 2 or 3 of them in Indian River in the last year, they're not there anymore. I mean, it's, business is tough, and it's always been tough in Cheboygan County. If the unemployment rate in the state was 8%, it was 16% in Cheboygan County. And it's always been that way. When I first came here, I tried to get things going. The Black Lake Chivalry was dead at that point. And I put on the Chivalry out there at the Chateau North for 2 years and funded the whole thing. And a few of the merchants in town that I knew and were friends with got on it. The rest of them said, well, that's not in town. We're not going to support that. We don't want something going on out there at Black Lake. That isn't going to help us. Well, it does help. I wasn't out at Black Lake. I was right here at the junction. But you bring people in that spend money, and it helps. I used to figure that I sold snowmobiles, ATVs, watercraft. I rented cross-country skis. I sold cross-country skis. I made more money on rentals than I ever made on the new machines. I was lucky if I broke even on new equipment. Darn lucky. And back in 1980, I was paying 20% interest on my floor plan, because I couldn't get the floor plan financed through the local bank. Yeah. I was paying 20% interest on it. I was paying over $10,000 a month interest on the floor plan. I was making $200 a day on rental of a watercraft, personal watercraft, or a snowmobile. People would come up here and they'd rent for a week. That's $1,400 per unit. That had helped pay some of that interest I was paying in the floor plan. Back then, a lot of my customers were people from downstate that had a second home up here. A lot of them worked for the automobile industry, either for the companies, the major companies themselves, or suppliers. Well, the restrictions and that fallen in when we had General Motors go bankrupt, a lot of those people lost their second homes up here. the income that they used to have, they don't have anymore. And anything we can do to get anybody to come up here that still has money, we should do. Because if we don't, things are gonna get worse. Because the population is aging. We don't have the young families anymore. And the young people, when they do graduate, they can't get jobs here anymore. Cheboygan school system, they had 4 elementary schools. How many do you have now? 2. One down, just east side or west side?
East side.
East side?
Goes west side.
It goes west side. So we're now down to 1 out of 4. That tells you that the young people aren't here anymore. And unless this county does something to promote business and bring income in, this county's gonna be dead.
And we don't want that.
I think the whole demographics is changing too, and you have to look at this differently, because, you know, when P&G was here and we had a lot of business here, I mean, you did have the young families, and the young families had some money, they went out and bought on the lake, and, but what I'm seeing on the lake around me is there are people trying to hang on to their places. And, the older families, some of those people are starting to go. So what happens is then the kids are left with it, well, there were no jobs here for them, so they all work downstate. So every one of those places now is in jeopardy of selling out to somebody else. Well, who's gonna buy that? I don't know, the young people buy it, or whatever. But I do think there's a viable chance that people might operate that as a business. They might operate it as, you know, a family, so they can continue to use it too. I've seen that happen. And I've had good success with places like that I've seen, where people have a vested interest in keeping up the property. Because they can't get money out of the property by just allowing the thing to go to ruin. On the other hand, I've seen places where that's happened, where the kids can't keep it up. They're trying to hang on to it, but the property is just slowly deteriorating in front of our face. And so I think, I agree with Chuck that I think that this is a viable chance to maybe change the dynamics of the area a little bit and really add maybe a viable component for long-term growth.
Well, every time that property changes ownership, it's uncapped for taxes. And those taxes that
Yep,
are
that's another-
staggering
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
lakefront property are going up.
Mhm.
If you can't keep it owned by the same people, the next one owns is gonna pay more.
Yeah.
Not if the assessment was down.
Well, but the property values are going up now. Waterfront, they are,
Assessments haven't changed.
no.
They're not
But if
going down.
they've been owned for 20 years or 30 years, and they change ownership, then it's uncapped, and the property taxes go up. Way up.
Take the scenic drive up to Legs End sometime and look at all the property for sale in there. It's breathtaking. Those are all, both families that own those at one time that are all, the kids can't handle them, getting out of them. They can't find a buyer.
Okay, anything else from the planning commission on this?
I only have one other thing. I would like to hear from the public. I know we're gonna have a public comment section, but, and then maybe have a little discussion after that as to where would that lead us? Does that tell us to do something a little different, or what would be the next steps?
A suggestion would be to take one of your meetings where there might not be anything else on the agenda and have a forum at another location. If we fill this up tonight without even inviting anybody, like specific, like the associations or chambers or anything, you probably would want to have it at a different spot, maybe the Opera House or something, and just give the meeting to the public to allow them to to say what they want.
I think we ought to just pick, well, we'll let the public have their shot at it tonight.
Yes.
But I think the solution is to pick a meeting time and have it just for this subject, and have it at the high school or the Opera House or someplace like that, where we can get people in, because we're not gonna get them all in here.
No.
Okay, let's finish out our agenda and then we'll get to public comments. Staff report?
I have nothing to report tonight.
Nothing additional.
All right. Any other planning commission comments on anything? Okay, we'll do public comment, orderly fashion, nobody trying to out-talk anybody. When you're acknowledged, please state your name for the records and try to keep your comments brief. We usually have a 3-minute time limit. Chuck?
Just reference to the Lower Township, and where we basically are broadband. We are in favor of short-term rentals. We definitely, we know what it brings into our area when into our township. And, being depressed area as we are around Long Lake and area of that nature, it has worked out well. I mean, we have not received any complaints over the township board on any of your issues, your tickets and anything of that nature. So once again, the board did meet, and we are in favor of you approving short-term rentals in the Cheboygan County. So I'll leave it at that, and I think you're going in that direction, and I thank this board for going that way.
Thanks, Chuck. Yes, sir.
My name is Kevin Harris, and I just recently moved here, and one of my goals eventually is to open up a business in this area, in a property management type thing. It's not there yet, but I know the potential and all the different things that could be done. It brings money. When they come up for rentals, they need people to manage them. They need people to see people into them, to clean the houses. And the more people that rent them out, the more they need repairs done to their houses. It brings construction into the area. It brings young people. And if managed properly from a property manager, they control the noise management because they're there. They control the parking. It's all put in front of them ahead of time in a sort of a agenda. And I have firsthand seen over on the Lake Michigan side, like he was saying before, there's a lot of people whose families come up, the kids own the houses now, they can't afford to keep them, but they rent them out, and they not only support themselves, but they do the upkeep on the houses. They pay another company or people to employ to take care of their houses, and the property is upkept. And with the upkeeping and the construction, and it brings the value back up on them through that income, and brings new people to the community who are going to spend their money here and possibly buy new homes. And I just think it's detrimental to an economy like this, where we haven't had nothing in years to bring these. It brings jobs, it brings more work for the contractors that are already here, possibly new contractors, maintenance people. I mean, the list is endless of the possibilities that it could bring up.
Thank you. Yes.
I hope you encourage Foley Township. I know that in my township, the homeowners associations, a lot of them don't allow these short-term rental agreements. If you want to move into that type of situation, you're welcome to. I also know the bars, restaurants, Indian River Power Sports. I know literally hundreds of people employed because people come up and rent and eat at local restaurants. It would be detrimental to our economy in Foley Township for sure. We're for short-term rentals in our township.
Okay. Yes, sir.
We've done studies through VRMA, Steve Schnell, apologize. We've done studies through VRMA in reference to the economic benefits to doing these. The most recent one we've done in Michigan in a similar economy was Berrien County. Berrien County is on Lake Michigan. They're a one-season vacation rental market. Just from vacation rentals, They get $22.2 million into their economy every year. I went through the census, tried to prorate that. That comes to over 17 million for Cheboygan County if we have a similar program. $17 million into this economy. What they figured out is for every $100 that folks spend on their vacation rental, they spend 200 in the community, whether it be in Mulligan's, whether it be at the gas station. They're gonna spend an additional 200 on top of the 100 that they already have. And we're not guessing, these are stats, we have them, they're available. One of the nice advantages to that one too, down there, they got 300 jobs directly attributed to these residential rentals. 300 jobs just in one county. When we prorate that out, it comes out to about 256 for Cheboygan County if we have a similar program. One of the things I did not realize as I was going through this, even though I spend every day of my life here, 76% of our residential structures are seasonal properties, according to the census. So all of us here, we actually represent the minority. And that is part of something that we need to make sure we understand and we consider. 5,557 residential structures that are considered seasonal or vacant. When you looked at everything total, according to STRA, which is the short-term rental activity, it came out to a total of 24 million for Berrien County, all strictly off of these residential rentals. 1/3 of the jobs of the 300, those were in food service, Mulligan's, Divinity Bar there. Our unemployment rate is going down, but are not in the labor force. So this is retirees and people that just aren't working. It's 45.9% in Cheboygan County. That's not the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate's 18.3. No, 13.9 right now. So 13.9 is our unemployment. 45.9 is our non-participation, be it retirees or people who aren't even looking. These are the type of things that we need to consider, and we have the potential in Cheboygan County to outpace Berrien County, which is that's the most recent activity that we have that we can compare on. We can outpace them because you're talking about one season. Up here, we've got ice fishing, we've got snowmobiling, we've got snowshoeing, we've got ATVs, we've got Jeeps, we've got Pigeon River Country. Last night as I was preparing this information, I was talking with Alex from Trout Unlimited. He said the vast majority of his members, they use Airbnb and such for their fly fishing vacations when they come up and they rent there. When I was with the 46th, I used Airbnb to come up and stay, to find a place to stay during drill weekend. So I'd only spend about $40 for my place there, and then I'd spend 200 at Mulligan's. It's all, the economic potential is amazing, and we do have resources. There's two different national resources, VRMA and SRTA, that they are advocacy groups for vacation rentals, residential vacation rentals. They have information for us. We can contact them, we can get additional information, what's the best way. They go all over the country. A group of them actually just left Oahu, where they experienced $70 million in 1 year off of these in Oahu. And Oahu got that because the other islands restricted it, so everybody went to Oahu. So we have resources where we can get information, and that might be a good idea to bring in someone outside.
Yes.
My name is Steve Crusoe, Aloha Township trustee, Citizens National Bank employee. Also involved with Anchor and Marina and Malt Lake Marina. I would be very careful, in my opinion, of limiting watercraft at rental sites. We have the inland waterway in our county. It's a jewel. People that come up here and recreate just might decide this is so much fun up here, they want to live up here. So unless it's a big problem, and I understand personal watercraft can be a little noisy, but so can snowmobiles or, a 20-foot ski boat with a nice 350 Chevy in it or whatever. So I don't think it's a big problem, but I wouldn't want to see too much restriction on how many docks or how many watercraft you can have. People need progress, more progress, the barriers for a county. I'd be real careful with limiting that personally.
It's already limited, Steve.
Yeah, it's already.
To be clear, the limit that we have is for shared waterfront only. We don't regulate docks or watercraft if you're not having a shared waterfront.
Andy Stepke. I just want to say I talked to NEMCOG, the Northeast Michigan Council of Governments, and to their knowledge, we were the only people in their district that they've heard of ever trying to regulate this. In their opinion, and they deal with a lot of ordinances for different communities, that's part of their service they provide. And they said in almost every instance, although communities have talked about it, it's contrary to their objective, bringing people into the county, spending money, promoting tourism for the well-being of the county. And in those instances, they seem to determine that it wasn't out of line with single-family dwelling use. Although you didn't, people may not be related or of the same family, the consensus was that wasn't for them to determine. The use was the same as a single-family dwelling, and therefore they declined to regulate it. So, just throwing that out there.
Yep. My name's Roger Kopernick. My parents, my aunt used to be up here in the 60s and had cottages on Mullet Lake, and we have a cottage. Actually, Bill Stark is here right now, and he's renting it out. It's a perfect example of what somebody said about problems with the cottage, and you need the money from the rentals to help repair the cottage. So it's like a twofold thing. And my parents are getting older, and somebody's going to get the cottage. Well, it doesn't matter who. But I think it's very important. And when I heard Chuck talking, I thought, geez, oh, Pete, did he take my notes? I mean, it was just perfect. So my thinking is the Airbnb and the VRBO, that's been, people have been renting for 50 years. I heard that all of a sudden we've got code enforcement officers going out to somebody's rental. I'm like, what? I'm here. When I hear that, like we have time to send county officials over because somebody's renting out a cottage on the lake that people have been doing for 50 years. So when you're talking about making a quick one-sentence change, I don't know what will change if we have it in the Opera House, if we have it anywhere. We're talking about the economy, we're talking about Cheboygan, we're talking about people trying to come to Cheboygan. So what if there were a ton of people that showed up and said, you can't do that? It's like, I'm sorry. Somebody's got to make a decision. I think the Planning Commission offers a couple of sentences just to alter it, that county commissioners can rule in favor. I mean, wherever we meet, I think that's the best result. And we've got better things to do for enforcement, I believe, than to go after people who are doing weekly rentals on our lakes, which is our jewel here. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, Carl Muscott. I'd like to thank Mr. Stempke for bringing this issue to the public, because I have no idea how many people might have been dissuaded from renting their cottages if Mr. Schnell's enforcement had gone on without somebody actually bringing it to the PBA. I attend a lot of these county meetings because I think planning oftentimes is negative to the community. This is one of these issues here. When it hits our pocketbook, we're out here in force trying to straighten these things out. I oftentimes use other governments as better example. Emmet County Planning Commission. They have an ordinance, I think that works better than ours. Ours has been band-aided for years now. It's literally useless. Planning Commission in Emmet County meets 12 times a year, half as often as us. Everyone has, wow, here's several site plan approvals and an enforcement report. There is no amendments to any planning document. 3 new cases for site plans, a couple carried over from before, an enforcement report, no amendments to sites or ordinances. 2 new cases here, enforcement report, new case here, enforcement report. And January 5th, 2017, Planning Commission meeting, not holding a meeting because there's no agenda items. Tomorrow night, not holding a meeting because there's no agenda items. I mean, you should be here supporting growth, site plan approvals for new businesses and buildings and things like that. You should not be spending the rest of your life rewriting ordinance number 200. And then Mr. Schnell would not find loopholes in there so he can sit at his desk and look at, oh, VRBO, Yeah, I know where that place is. Send them a letter to say they can't rent their cottage. That's ridiculous. So I appreciate everybody coming out. We want to see Cheboygan County grow. I think we all have the same initiative there. Thank you for that.
Point of information, Carl. How many townships in Emmet County do their own zoning?
Well, there are quite a few.
That probably explains the size of the agenda for the county planning.
But the county also takes that on for a lot of the townships as well.
Well, a lot, some, yes.
I'm not looking for excuses.
Well, I know.
We're not looking for excuses, Harold. We're looking for things that work. I hate to hear, this is the way we've always done it.
Right.
I just needed information, that's all.
I thought this was public comment. I didn't realize it was one-on-one. Thank you.
I thought it was okay to ask a question.
My name is Bethany Harrison. That is my husband over there, and we recently moved here a couple of years ago. My husband grew up here for a portion of his childhood and got to see Cheboygan in its glory and how it worked together and how everybody got to work together and the businesses that were here before everybody left. When we got married and we brought our kids here. It was husband stomping grounds. We're here now. We've got our kids here now. My daughter just graduated from school, and you know what? She's having a hard time finding a job before she goes to college. Everybody wants responsible people, and nobody wants people right out of high school who are inexperienced. Very few, other than fast food, will take them. Growth. Where is it? What are you guys planning to do? And what are you planning? To go get people, to offer our county, our townships, our city growth. I want to stay here. My husband wants to build a business here because he loves this place. I love this place. People come here and rent here for the lakes, the rivers, the hunting, the recreation. They go to Mulligan's, they go to the Purple Tree Books, they go to all of the downtown places. They used to go to Zany Kitchen before that was gone. One big mainstay business here is gone. Because why? We can enforce everything to the hilt. Micromanage everything. You can't rent, you can't do this, you can't have your shop here. If we make it so hard for the little people who want to start a business here, have a business here, and not allow to have the things that make it grow, right down to managing property, what does that look like to the outside public? I may have grown up in Emmet County. I may have seen what Harbor Springs has, what Petoskey has. But that doesn't mean we can't get back to, Donald Trump wants to make America great again. Why can't we make Cheboygan great again? Why can't, what can we do? Manufacturing, that's what was here. It was, please help me out here, the factory that was here. What was that? Procter & Gamble. The hospital. The hospital. We don't have a fully functioning hospital. I know personally of 2 older people that have left this county, came in excited to live here, to be here, bought a house here, and left because they can't be cared for here because they had to go to Gaylord or Traverse City for a fully functioning hospital. I spoke at the city meeting a couple weeks ago in regards to the Meyer building coming in here. There's a lot of pros and cons to that, and I'm not going to get into that because that's not what this is about. But that's growth too. That's jobs and that's growth too. To a county, as Charles says, is dying, and we are, and we don't want that. Everybody here doesn't want that. I may be an implant, like I said at the other meeting, but I have a heart for this place. It's home right now, and it's home for where we want to stay, but we can't if we make it so hard for everybody. So I, as a citizen, the person who lives here, spends money here because I'd rather spend money at the stores here than go other places. People who have worked for somebody who would rather put money into Cheboygan than send me to Gaylord or Traverse City or whatever to buy stuff for their vacation homes. What's stopping you guys from allowing these things to happen? That's my concern as a citizen. What is stopping you guys from allowing, or why is it gotta be so hard for Meyer to get in here? I don't know government, I don't know the intricacies, I'm learning as I attend these meetings, but it's my heart. It's not only my heart, but it's half of everybody else's heart here, or they wouldn't be here. I know some of you, not all of you, but I know some of you. And I know you all are obviously living in Cheboygan County, or you wouldn't be on the Cheboygan County Planning Commission. And you guys gotta want the same things. I'm sorry to say this, I don't know the two people that are missing. I don't see very many people on this board without some sort of gray hair. I love you guys, don't get me wrong, please don't be offended.
Young people help.
Young people, I don't see any young people on this board to bring new views than what we've already seen. Please forgive me, I'm a woman, I get it, I got it, it's just under the hat, okay? I guess I'm kind of compelling, you know, just standing here and trying to see if you guys can come up with something. You're planners. Plan things. Steve, you got a job, you have to do it, you have to enforce what you have to do. I respect that. But what are you gonna do to help bring in what we need to bring in? The public comment sector, whoever brought that up, is just a plain old public comments meeting in a bigger place that can house everybody would be great. I wanna work with everybody who does the property management. I wanna work with everybody who sells the places. I wanna work with the older people who wanna stay here and wanna be able to keep their homes and maintain their homes. I don't wanna be in competition with everybody, fierce competition for survival and who's gonna make the buck off this place or who's gonna make the buck off that place. It's not my heart for it. I care for the places I take care of. And I care for the people I take care of. And I also would like to be able to see Cheboygan County still be here to be able to care for them.
I found out tonight that I'm part of the minority group. I was born in Cheboygan Hospital. Went to Emmet Links High School, and it's always been my dream to resign here, live here. It's a beautiful place. It's all obviously here because we want the opportunity to be able to afford to eventually someday live on the lake. There's a lot of obstacles for somebody who grew up in this area. We all know there's not a lot of money. Someone's trying to go out of town and bring money back to keep the economy going. It seems as if, obviously, there's some issues with some areas and where people are renting to idiots that really don't deserve to come up here and enjoy this beautiful place with us. But I think that it's a simple solution. If within a few sentences we can rewrite an ordinance to allow people that were born and raised here be able to afford to live here, possibly someday live on a lake, a river, or stream, or in a small cottage in this area. They don't, might be able to talk to some of the townships where they're having the issues, and they might be able to rewrite noise ordinance or some way to solve the issues that are currently happening, but to try to restrict the young individuals from being able to go to college and come back here and afford to live here and prosper in this area. I mean, I'm a small business owner in Cheboygan County. We're being successful, but the other hand, move forward and get to where I would like to be someday without being able to purchase a cottage on the lake, rent it out weekly to help support that payment while I make my house payment, and put the rest of my earnings towards that dream home. It's not, it'd be an impossible task. And I know there's a lot of people that are in my shoes or not even quite there yet, that would love to be able to move back here or to live in Cheboygan County, on a river, on a stream, on a lake, or even in a small neighborhood close to the river. Yeah. Being a Cheboygan County citizen, it would be a little bit depressing to me to believe that you all can get together and figure this out. Appreciate it.
Can I have your name for the record, please?
Stephen DeWhite. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
I'm Roger Jacobs, I'm from Indian River. I have had a business in this Cheboygan County for almost 60 years. A lot of people in there know me. I have seen business going down for the last 40 years at least. We don't have anyways near the boats and motors, or the boats and motors on the rivers and stuff that we used to have. Holidays used to be 2 to 3 times more busy than they are today. The people aren't coming anymore. One of the reasons, part of that reason is because of the fishing pressure. There's not near the fish out here there was 35, 40, 50 years ago, not even close. And we started some things going a long time ago and tried to get some stuff going, and it just never happened. The DNR would fight everything you wanted to do. There's things that's happened on some of these streams and stuff around here that DNR has approved and done that probably, I don't know if anybody in here knows about it. Maybe Russ might know something about some of this stuff, but there's pretty much not much of any of this county that I don't know pretty well, because I've hunted and I've trapped for a lot of years and fished. There's not many waters and stuff and streams and lakes that I don't know much about. As far as boats on the riverfront, most of the people on the boats or on the riverfront or on the lake have riparian rights. I don't know how you could really restrict how much dock they can put out. That's hurting some of the stuff. These cottages and stuff that these people are renting, the old cottages and stuff that was being rented 100 years ago don't exist anymore. Most of these cottages and resorts that have been around have been sold out individually because the taxes have gotten so high that the people couldn't afford the taxes on them, people who owned them. So they sold them out individually. So now these are in different people's names and stuff, and a lot of them don't get rented out. That family has rented that or bought that and they've stayed here. But some of the newer places have gotten so they've rented them out and stuff. And you can't blame them, because it's like it's been said here that they're trying to make a living or trying to sacrifice paying all these high taxes. As far as the taxes is concerned, the MTA, which is the Michigan Township Association, thinks that all of us people up in this country here make as much money as they do downstate. So they think that our property value is up here, and they'll get a piece of property, we'll say, that comes up on the lake for sale. A realtor would grab this thing, and I've seen this done quite a few times. He puts it up for sale. He don't sell it for the price that puts on that. If he's got 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8 guys waiting for a piece of lake property, he puts it up for bid. I know properties that have been put up for bid over the last 20 years that was supposed to sell for $200,000, and they went for $400,000 because they had these guys bidding on them. And that's what's drove a lot of this property values and stuff up, way beyond where it should be. And it's just gotten so carried away with this stuff. And it's like some of the complaints that they say they've been getting. Has anybody ever kept a record of who's made these complaints? And how much they've complained? And on what piece of property they've complained? That should all be taken down. If it's complaints, it should be taken down and be able to be available to the public. And be able to look at it and say, okay, there was 5 people that complained on this property or on this lakefront or whatever. Not just have somebody say, well, we've had complaints. Well, you can say, I've had complaints, and there may be one person complained, and now load up this, just like the old storytelling. Now there's 20 people that's made a complaint, and there's only one. This don't work. As far as a single family thing, single family could be 12, 15 people. I mean, you don't see many families that big anymore, but it's possible. So, you know, it's, but controlling of the noise and stuff, I mean, you want to talk about noise, I live next to the in-between bar in the river. and I really don't have that much trouble with it, really. I used to be over there, and Mike can verify this. I used to be over there quite a bit. Mike also knows that I don't drink. That's the thing of it. And I used to tell people when I'd have guys coming outside and yelling and screaming, and I'd come out and tell them to shut their mouth. And most of them would. And it was just, you know, you get some of these idiots that just, they make too much noise anyhow. They think that they're impressing somebody, I guess. I don't understand what's really going on with them, because who knows sometimes. Everybody's different, and everybody's got their own way of doing things. But talk about noise that the boats make. The boats don't make near as much noise as most of these motorcycles do. These motorcycles are ridiculous, some of them. And so it's, the boats going up and down the river, and that's another thing in the river itself. The sheriff's patrol does a poor job of patrolling. And I've gotten after these guys, and I've had these officers so mad at me they stomp out of my place. Because I would just flatly tell them, I said, you need to patrol the river, you don't need a boat. You can come out there and sit underneath the highway bridge there, nice comfortable seat. You can see way up the river that way, way up the river that way. Said, you can just sit there, and when you see these guys coming through, they're making too much noise, or making too much weight. No, come here, slow them down. And most of them will. I've lived on that river for 57 years. So, and I've seen a lot of different stuff over the years. Most of it can be controlled pretty easy, and once in a while you'll get some idiot that thinks he knows more than anybody else, but it's just one of them things. As far as regulating, a lot of regulations on some of this stuff, I can see some of it, but a lot of it is uncalled for. If you're making some of the regulations that's interfering with people making a living, I think it should be completely illegal for anybody to make regulations for anybody to make a living. The way it should be. That's what I gotta say.
Thanks, Roger.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Corey Woodnick, and I'm from Rogers City. My husband and I own a cottage on the river here in Cheboygan that we purchased 2 years ago. And although we're only 40 miles away, the last 17 years we've spent on the inland waterway with both of our kids. All of our tourism money in the summertime, you know, has been spent here in Cheboygan County because we love the waterway and we love to boat. And when we purchased the cottage, the previous owners had rented it out seasonally, and we had planned to continue to do that just to help pay for the carrying cost, taxes, insurance, and everything else. So we've owned the cottage for 2 years. Just from my personal experience, I mean, the average demographic that I see from my renters, I'd say is 40. I've never had to keep a security deposit. I've never had a neighbor complain to us. Most of what we see are families that are coming for the week, taking good care of it. Of course, we're maintaining the property. We want it to look nice. I want to be able to rent it to help offset those costs. Coming from Rogers City, I'm also a business owner. We would love to have what you have here. You need to capitalize on it as much as possible with your tourism. I was able to, at the age of 37, to your point, buy what is a second home that I may have had to wait till I was in my 50s to be able to afford otherwise. So I highly recommend that you reconsider this. There may be a handful of complaints, but when I look at my competition in Cheboygan County, there's a lot of vacation rentals. And if you have 6 or 8 for the 200 that you have out there, I think you're doing pretty good. Anybody else? John?
John Brown. I've attended quite a few of your meetings, and I know in past practice, Steve or Scott has drafted the ordinances, and then you made a motion to send it on to the county commissioners for approval, final approval. I've heard so much tonight that I would encourage one of the board members to make a motion to instruct staff to change the ordinance, even though you don't have it final, and you will finalize it and vote again to approve it later, but it seems to me it's in order tonight to just have a motion to instruct staff to change the ordinance.
Anybody else? Okay, we're gonna close the public comment. Anything else from the planning commission? Mike?
We've got a good cross-section of people there. It's very clear from all the comments that there's not one person in opposition to this. We didn't know there was a huge enforcement issue. We had 1 or 2 incidents that all of us know about, and that's all we had. So I think that we should probably look at language that would clear this up and eliminate that rental requirement.
Are you making that a motion?
Not yet. It's not. I'm looking for other comment from the board.
Chuck?
Well, there was a comment made on businesses leaving Cheboygan. I know for a fact I had some friends down in Virginia that I convinced to come up here. They're both retired, couple. They bought a place out on Campbell Road, 20 acres in there, I think. The woman has some severe asthma problems. They bought the place on Campbell Road because it was near the full-service hospital. That hospital closed. They now live in Indiana. She couldn't live here without that full-service hospital. It's the one young lady has a daughter just graduated and can't find anything other than food service. Both my kids graduated from Cheboygan High School. Both of them went on to college. My daughter has a doctor of veterinary medicine degree and has a business in Indian River. My son has 3 degrees in engineering and business, and he's a high executive in General Motors Corporation. He couldn't live up here. There's a job up here he could take. Not one. Not in any business in this county. My daughter luckily has a profession that she can make a decent living here. She's got 10 people working for her down there. She's got a second business next door on dog and pet boarding. Most people are not that fortunate. As a matter of fact, I'd say a minuscule number of kids graduating from high school in this county are gonna be able to find a decent job here. If we can't keep some of the income here, whatever way we do it, this county is gonna continue to decline. We lost Procter & Gamble. We lost the full-service hospital. We've lost any number of others. How many grocery stores have we had in this town? The BNC, that's gone. Another grocery store went in there, that folded. There's another one in there now. How long is that gonna be there?
Tap and Tool.
Yeah, Detroit Tap and Tool. They're gone. You know, unless we can come up with some other way to keep money and make money in this town, it's going to just die. It's dying already. It's been dying for 40 years.
Mike, I would support what you're saying. What I understand you to say is that we would instruct Scott to draft something up for us to look at. And then, I mean, the public is going to get another chance to look at this thing anyway. We'll have another open meeting. We can publicize where that's going to be. And we have a little more flesh on the bones to look at this draft. And then we can also move the process ahead, so I support that.
Yeah, and actually, there's two reviews. There'd be a public hearing and the Board of Commissioners would have to review it. So it's not a done deal, but I think I'm at the point I'd make the motion that we have staff come up with the language to eliminate that section from the ordinance.
Support.
Okay, motion and support. Any other discussion?
Just asking for clarification if I could on the draft of it. You're talking about drafting an option for all of Lincoln Stream at this point, or maybe a couple of options that you could look at. Okay, good, thanks.
To eliminate special use permits for those kinds of things. But get us some options, we'll look at it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Thanks, everybody, for
Thank
coming.
you.
The county can't do Not quite, but I know.